Welcome to another episode of Growth Hacker TV. I'm Bronson Taylor, and today I have Ken Zi Wang with us. Ken, thanks so much for coming on the program.
Thanks for having me, Bronson.
Absolutely. Now, Ken, you're the founder of Growthathon. Sounds pretty interesting. So what is Growthathon?
So Growthathon is short for Growth Hackathon. And the premise of Growthathon is to bring startups and growth hackers together and have growth hackers participate in some challenges in different verticals of startups. And then we look at the metrics we get from these challenges and then decide on what are the best new tactics that we can implement for these startups in different verticals.
Yeah, so is it mainly about the companies getting growth, or is it mainly about the people learning, or is it about both?
It's everything.
Yeah.
It's designed to be an ecosystem. So we bring mentors, speakers, aspiring growth hackers, and also companies all together. It's designed in a way that we can start to foster a community. So the event was held last year in December in San Francisco. It was sold out at 250 people tickets. And so we had 4 speakers, 13 mentors, and 8 companies that participated in this event. It was very successful, and we got a lot of really good results for startups in the way that they returned the $5,000 worth of gifts to the participants.
Well, that's great. So what really motivated you to create Growthathon? What was the reason behind it?
So the idea for Growthathon came out from a gathering at Stanford Sunfire Labs. So my friends and I are chatting. What is, if we have only one metrics to look at for startups to be funded, venture capitalists, what would it be? Would it be the team or market or the product? But, that's the triangle they always talk about. However, when it really comes down to giving funding, it's really just traction. Don't you have to have a kick-ass team or a kick-ass product or sometimes market, because you can create market later on, but it really just comes to the hockey stick growth. And then we looked around, my colleague startups are just crying out for help. A lot of them are stuck at the stage of 1,000 to 2,000 users, just utilizing their own social circle. But going beyond that, it's extremely difficult, to find these distribution channels and also retain users. So, we thought, wouldn't it be cool if we can crowdsource the ideation as well as the process of finding channels.
Yeah.
So it has to be done through a format almost like hackathon. So that's when Growthathon was born.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. So, you've started this thing and you've interacted with a lot of growth hackers at, your event. How have your views on growth hacking and growth hackers kind of evolved through this event?
Absolutely. So I've known some growth hackers before the event happened. So I know growth hackers are very analytical driven. From my point of view, and I'll talk about, from the general public's point of view also. From my perspective, I feel that growth hackers are becoming more and more analytical and metrics driven, which is really good. Before, I think a lot of growth hackers that I interacted with would talk about the metrics, the vanity metrics, such as page views, such as number of users and things like that. But I think now more and more growth hackers are sticking with the metrics that make sense for their own vertical. Because for B2B or B2C, or for a news app or versus a social network app, the metrics that you should look at should be completely different. So I think growth hackers are getting more and more savvy with looking at metrics. Now, from the public standpoint, I see that Now, growth hacker was viewed almost as a marketer to a lot of people, but now I see um, more and more younger folks are realizing that growth hacker is a lot more just being a marketer. It's from design and product and also marketing point of view to get users for a startup, to grow your startup, both on your user base as well as your team and as well as your company. So it's a very broad space.
Yeah. At the last Growthathon, what were some of the key things that you learned about growth? Maybe from the speakers, maybe from the teams, maybe from the companies. What were some of the key things that you personally learned about growth?
I personally learned that if you put your mind to it, even for someone that's new to the field, could achieve something that's quite substantial. So one of the participants from our event was quite new to the field, and he was previously doing lots of analytics at a different consumer company, but he really wanted to tackle a challenge for apartment list. So he just spent a lot of time on trying out different ways to gain email addresses and also gain possibilities of getting users for apartment lists. And he spent days and nights on figuring out ways to crawl the web. Even though he's not a programmer, but he's able to build scripts with some softwares out there, and that just shows if you put your mind to it, you can win challenges. Even if you're not a developer, even if you don't know coding, you can still figure out ways to crawl the web, and that's impressive to me.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about that. Like, what was he doing? Because our audience would be interested in that. What was he doing to crawl the web, and what was he doing? What kind of data was he gathering? What was he doing with it?
So he did a few interesting experiments. So he wanted to gain a database of email addresses for people that may be interested in apartments. So he went to a software site. It's called Ubot, and he built a few scripts, and based on those scripts, he's able to crawl different email databases from the sites and forums where there are a lot of people talking about apartment searching. Which then enabled him to gather this massive, email database of people that may be in that, that are more likely to be in that vertical.
No, that's great. What were some of the other teams that performed really well during these challenges? Give us some examples of the teams that did well, and then tell us about what they actually did to drive that growth.
Absolutely. So one team that I interacted very, very much in this contest is one that participated in my company's challenge. So my company, Fandrop,
I like that one.
Absolutely, give us growth, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just give us ideas. So the team participated in the challenge, where the goal is very straightforward. It's to get as many users sign up to a particular landing page as possible. So what he ended up doing is through Facebook marketing, and he's an expert. He's an expert on Facebook marketing. When we built up this challenge, we didn't think paid advertising would be one thing that people would be willing to try, because we're not providing the cost for doing that. So we thought it would be more from a free marketing standpoint, organic growth standpoint. But the participant actually spent some money to do this, Facebook marketing campaign, but the result is outstanding. So he spent $80 but got 3,000 signups.
Wow, how did he do that? Please tell us.
Secret. So he was able to leverage just the right message and the right demographics, and he was able to, and also the right timing for campaigns. So he was able to really conduct super effective campaigns with lots of impressions and lots high conversions for us to get a large amount of users very quickly. So it's very impressive. And so after the contest is over, we invited him to work with us for a while. Just on, of course, just from Facebook advertising. That also opened up doors for us because before then we had spent $0. We weren't a believer of paid marketing. We were just very much growth hacking ourselves, on free channels ourselves. But after he participated, after he got us, the signups, showed us the results, showed us a breakdown, we were very impressed, and we then looked into more paid advertising channels.
Yeah, that's great. Are there any other examples of teams that did really well that you can think of? Or are those the main ones?
Absolutely, yeah. Another startup that participated at Family Leave actually gave them inspiration for them to conduct a very large campaign themselves. So just a few days after Growthathon, Family Leave went on to do a campaign where they gave incentives for bloggers to blog about their site through a different landing page. So they held a contest where bloggers would compete against themselves. So in a way, it's more like an ecosystem play. They had a landing page for bloggers to participate in the challenge and get the words out. In return, the bloggers would get gifts from Family Leave.
So like what kinds of gifts would they be getting?
So they were giving out iPads and Kindle Fires.
Okay.
For mom bloggers, and
that's and it was for the blogs that drove the most traffic to this page ended up winning one of these items.
Yes.
Okay, so they did their own growthathon within a growthathon for a specific company.
yes, basically, and they had their own metrics and dashboard, and went really well. I think they got something like 50,000 registrants within a week or something. So it's very successful for them. But they got inspired by one of the attendees participants.
No, it makes so much sense now. When I asked you earlier what you learned from all this, and one of the things you said was that it's possible that you don't have to know a lot, and if you actually just try it and focus in a short amount of time, you can see real growth. And now after hearing 2 or 3 of these stories, it's like, now I see what Ken's saying. Like, literally, they got 50,000 signups, or they got 3,000 signups with $80 in Facebook ads. I mean, those are real numbers. Those are the numbers that matter, and they did it within a week time frame. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing those things with us. Let me ask you this. I see how you guys have kind of set up a growthathon, and you kind of brought together a little marketplace. You have the companies on one side, you have the growth hackers on the other side. Do you think there's a place in the future online to maybe do this at scale? Because I think about like, Odesk or Elance. I go on there and you can hire a programmer for, X dollars an hour. Do you think there'll ever be kind of an at-scale marketplace for growth hackers where a company comes and says, I need a growth hacker, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to grow to this number, and people bid on it or whatever? Do you think something like that's possible?
It's happening.
Yeah? How so?
I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard to say, what kind of platform it would be, but I think there are enough demands these days for that to happen. I think the challenge is really how to define a growth hacker, because it's such a new term and there's still, lots of gray areas in growth hacking, and quality control is probably one of the most challenging part. How does this platform validate, this certain growth hacker is a 5-star growth hacker versus someone that's more like an amateur, but just self-proclaimed growth hacker wannabe? And that will be the most challenging part. But if there's a service that can guarantee certain kind of growth hacking for a startup, why wouldn't they pay?
Absolutely, it's worth it. Yeah. Instead of going to one, advertising channel and trying to do it, you just go to the person that understands all the channels or all the different, avenues, and you just pay them and it works. So yeah, I agree. I think the future is going to be exciting for growth hacking. Um, Go
Absolutely.
ahead.
So basically, you're outsourcing your VP of marketing, right? Because
Yeah.
this is your you get them to take care of a part of your VP of marketing work,
Hmm.
and and these guys, since they're so metrics driven, they will get you results. So it's not just like a billboard
Hmm.
ad. And you spend $100,000 on that, but how do you measure the returns? It's a lot more practical for startups.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this. Online, I noticed on some of your profiles that it said that you were obsessed with growth, right? What aspects of growth are you most obsessed with right now? Like, what is Ken currently thinking about in terms of growth? Because growth is a big idea. What are you focused on now that you're interested in learning more about, or that you're trying to do for your own company?
Well, my obsession is broad. How's that?
Yeah. Okay.
So, I'm interested in all aspects of growth, but for me, if I were to pick a couple of areas, I would say I'm very interested in the ecosystem play. Just like how an example is just basically how we thought of Growthathon. We thought of all these players that are, the participants that are coming in to come onto the ecosystem to everybody would take home something good. So it's a
Hmm.
win-win situation for everyone. And in the case of family leave, they also achieve the same results. So that's something I'm very interested in. We did a campaign for VentureBeat in a similar way, where my company was a campaign platform for other startups to join,
Hmm.
and we were able to get lots of traffic for VentureBeat. At the same time, provide lots of prizes back to those startups. So in that case, it's an ecosystem play.
Yeah.
And the second thing I'm interested in is viral loop, and that's very difficult to do.
Hmm.
And if if there are new channels happening, and if there's a new viral loop for that's opened up, the startups that discover that first would be able to acquire lots of users, and that's something I'm actively looking every day
Hmm.
to find these new viral loops.
Yeah, absolutely. Those 0-day exploits that you can take advantage of before they're closed off for everyone, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What kinds of people should consider attending your next growthathon? The people listening to this, which ones of them should be like, maybe I should come to that?
The people that want to actually be more on the do side
Okay.
than the talk side. It's there's no textbook on growth hacking yet, so a lot of it is just about doing it. Like I said, these participants, the winners weren't necessarily a a big name growth hacker. It's really just depending on how much you want to actually participate, and you know if you are if you are if you are persevere enough to actually carry through these processes, and
Hmm.
actually are diligent enough to track all these results. So someone that are interested in do more would be perfect for growthathon.
Yeah. So tell them when is the next growthathon and how can they get tickets to it? So you can plug it here a little bit.
Very soon. Let's put it that way.
What's
Very
that?
very soon.
Okay.
Uh, we're still thinking of the format. We're testing now smaller format, smaller events now, because we think the best result may be achieved when it's more intimate kind of setting, when there's only one or two companies and just 20 or 30 people participating. So
Hmm.
we had a Japanese version of like Growthathon just about a month ago. So my friend Yusuke um, held that Growthathon in Japan. It was a smaller setting, which we felt would be a lot more appropriate, because when we did our event, it was 8 startups, so it was a lot of startups,
Hmm.
and that's quite. It, it creates lots of work during that event,
Yeah.
and also it's harder to keep track of everyone. But if it's smaller, then there will be more people doing challenges for each startup. Then we can
Hmm.
look at the results more carefully. So what we're doing now is we're testing these smaller events, different formats, and see which one would possibly produce the best results for participants and also for startups.
Yeah. So where can they go to learn more? Is it growthathon.com? Is that right?
Yes, growthathon.com.
All right. And so they can go there and they can find out dates, times, details, all that stuff. And that'll be kind of the place where you update it. Awesome. So you mentioned your own company earlier. So let's talk about your company for a second. Fandrop. You're the founder of Fandrop. What is Fandrop?
So Fandrop is a viral marketing platform. So we conduct viral marketing campaigns. And the way we do is that we have a viral content platform that provides a level of traction for us to be able to jumpstart these campaigns. So for a viral campaign to be successful, you need two things. One, you need that initial jumpstart on your traffic. Two is that you need a network. So we provide the traffic and also the network as a service.
Okay.
So some of the clients we worked with include Chuck D, so Public Enemy, and also VentureBeat, and they're coming up Demo Mobile this week.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. It's viral content platform, viral marketing.
Okay, so tell me specifically, like, what would happen if my company came to you and I said, okay, I want to leverage your network, I want to leverage your platform. What would that actually mean? Are you creating content for me and distributing it to people? I mean, what does it actually look like, below the surface a little bit?
Yes, if you were to do a campaign with us, we would think of content for you, and then when we do the campaign, our platform will provide you with a certain amount of traction to jumpstart that campaign. And once it reaches to a breaking point, just like the hockey stick graph, then we spread it everywhere to our network to get an explosive effect for you and get the buzz going.
Okay, so your network goes beyond Fandrop itself. You have other kind of partners that you send it to kind of, make the effect exponential at some point.
Yes, we have a syndicated network.
Gotcha. So is that really the heart of it? The secret sauce is that network syndication that you have going?
I would say the secret sauce is traffic, initial traction on our site. At the same time, there's an algorithm figuring out when to add more gasoline.
Okay. So it's when you use the network you have that's actually important also.
Yes.
Yeah. And then were you going to say there was a third thing?
The third thing is the network.
Yeah, network. Okay, gotcha. All right, cool. So when did Fandrop launch?
So we launched last year, October, for the first time, soft launched. At that time, we saw lots of traction, but we wanted to be able to utilize the traction more effectively and also tweak the algorithm. So we did a relaunch this year in January.
Okay, great. And what kinds of growth have you all experienced as a company yourself?
So for the initial month, we already got 1 million page views right off the bat.
Wow.
And so we've been growing about 40 to 50% per month.
Yeah, that's great. And what are your primary channels for growth at Fandrop? I know we mentioned, you're starting to try Facebook ads, but primarily, where is most of that traffic coming from? What are you doing to drive it?
Absolutely. So for now, we've observed lots of our traffic came from Google, which is SEO work, because all of our URLs are SEO optimized, as well as Facebook viral loops, and also all kinds of social bookmarking sites, including Reddit, StumbleUpon, and Dig, many other social bookmarking sites. We're not, even though we've tested some paid advertising channels, but still that's not our focus.
Yeah.
Majority of our traffic are non-paid, so we don't have an advertising or marketing budget. We've been just growing mostly organically.
Yeah. Have there been any one-time things you've done that have spiked growth? Maybe things that aren't repeatable or sustainable, but you tried it and surprisingly it worked really well? Anything like that you can think of?
Right. So in our case, we did think of campaigns like that, but they all turned out to be repeatable also.
Yeah, that's good. It's a good problem.
Right, that's a good thing. So we think of these ecosystem plays where we get participants to come on to the platform to produce results at the same time, we give them enough incentive for them to come back again.
Yeah.
And that's been working out really well. So it may seem like a one-time thing for a particular company, but we take the same model and reproduce it for another company. So, for example, we did a campaign for VentureBeat just about a month ago at South by Southwest. And we were able to, so within the contest lasted about 4 days. We were able to get 220,000 visits to the site, as well as over 30,000 social shares. So that kind of results were very good, a one-time thing for us during South by Southwest for VentureBeat. But we can really redo the same kind of contest for other events too. So now we're doing it for Demo Mobile. So it's the same model.
Yeah, that's great. So far, what's been the most difficult part about growing Fandrop? It seems like it's gone really well. Has there been anything that's been really difficult that you're trying to figure out about the growth of it?
So because the site looks like a content site, so the most difficult part for us would be to convert the consumers into actively returned users, to get them to make a login with us. It's not the top priority for us right now, because for us to jumpstart viral campaigns, there's only one thing that matters, which is traffic. The page views to the landing page that matters the most. So it's still not the primary focus right now. We felt that once we are able to grow the network, and as well as have our own editorial content to brand the site, at the same time we could implement more better activation tactics to convert those consumers into logged in users down the line very soon. But that would be one of the several challenging things for our service in particular.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's always something to improve. What's on the horizon? Any strategies that you want to try that you haven't had a chance to try yet, just because of resources or time, that you think, oh, I want to try this and see if I can even make that virality go faster. I want to try this and see if I can grow Fandrop even more.
Absolutely. So me and a few growth hackers on the team, we share a spreadsheet. And the spreadsheet is a growth hacking spreadsheet. And there are a list of 20 to 30 things that we want to try, or we have been trying. Yeah. But these are the 20, 30 things that we were going to do, and they're time consuming. But we approach it from a very stats-driven standpoint. So we put everything into spreadsheets, and then we track the results every day within 2-3 growth members of the team.
Yeah.
So plenty of things to try. I can give you some examples. The auto scripting, posting to social bookmarking sites is one of them. And crawl the web and finding viral content, aggregate them on the site to leverage them to get more tractions. And also viral loops. We found some other viral loops that we want to try. These are all on the horizon.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, I can attest that Fandrop works, because when I went to the site, it was hard for me to leave. That I wanted to stick around and read more, and I kept clicking around. And so you're doing something right there. But I noticed that you have a Fandrop page of your own where you list the 30 best articles on growth hacking. So obviously I'm sucked in there and I can't leave. And so I'm looking around, checking all these articles. Tell us maybe a couple of your favorite articles on that list about growth hacking, and why you put them on there, why you feel like they were worth putting on the top 30 list.
Absolutely. So, first thing is that there are not 30 articles in it.
Yeah.
I named the 30 articles. And, I felt that if I name, because people are drawn into 30 best, or 20 best, I just named 30 best. There are probably like 15 articles in it. I'm trying to get to 30.
Yeah, so I didn't even notice, to be honest. So I didn't even count or care.
Right, so there are probably 15, right now in there. My favorite would be, I like Andy John's, he's, Facebook experience, how he grew the Facebook team. And I also like the reported CEO, his take on viral coefficient. and how to improve the K factor. It's very scientific, and I like that kind of articles.
Yeah, no, that's great. And if people are looking for those, they can probably just do a Google search for Fandrop, 30 best growth hacking articles, and they'll be able to find it, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because I would recommend going and checking it out. It's a cool resource. Well, Ken, this has been an awesome interview. Let me ask you one last question, kind of a high-level question here. What's the best advice that you can give to any startup that's trying to grow and acquire users?
I would say, really just, someone on the team needs to be open-minded enough to try different things and try to talk to as many growth people as possible and try to educate yourself. The best way is to find someone to bring on board to grow the startup. At the same time, I think the founders need to understand different growth channels and really know what are the vanity metrics and what are the single metric the team should be on board with for this month or next month. There should only be one or two metrics that matters to the entire team at a single time. So the team can really focus on just grow that one single metric. So that would be my best advice. Stay active, stay engaged with the community. Check out awesome blog material. Check out events and learn. We're all learners here because growth hacking is 1 year old. So it's really new, and just try to absorb as much as we all can.
Yeah, it's great advice, Ken. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the program.
Thank you, Bronson.